Yeah, just clearly, I mean, you dig through this story and you just realize that I've heard people describe this as being like overkill and on purpose. But there was claims by Tanya of her brake lines being cut. That was actually even happening before the death. And then about a year later, now this man ends up dead in a field in El Reno.
All right, we are joined today by Jose Galison, a.k.a. No Way Jose. I don't know if that means that I can't believe it, I can believe it, or whatever it is. But Jose, you are kind of, well, to me, an OG of the whole Oklahoma City bombing case. Going back a while, looking at your catalog, what brought you into it?
Well, when I started my show, it's funny you mentioned No Way Jose. It literally was just my name Jose is a pseudonym. I think I told you in the show we just recorded over on my show that I was military. So when I actually started podcasting in the military, my real name's Josh Galison. I'm at the point now where I have no problem saying it. But then I need a pseudonym, Jose Galison. There you go. Closest thing to my name. And then No Way Jose was just kind of, I don't know, something to play off of that. No Way Jose. I don't know. It sounded good. I started as like a theory podcast, like libertarian theory. I was very into that sort of stuff. But I didn't want to be like, oh, Liberty Hour or something. Sorry if anyone has Liberty Hour out there. This is the first thing that came to mind. But just kind of like, everyone like in the liberty sphere always ends with Liberty this or, whatever, the libertarian whatever, podcast. And I was just like, no, I want to be able to give myself freedom to be able to move whatever way. Because, I didn't know. At some point you might get bored talking about that. And that did happen. OKC is what did it to me, particularly a Jinx edit, which is on Twitter. This was this Twitter account called @CrackConnoisseur. That's the handle, or the real name was, as I said, just Jinx. And he makes like what they call edits, these little videos. Like on the show we were just on, I played at the beginning. That was an edit that was made by a friend of mine, like that sort of thing. And he made one for Yeakey, for the Yeakey story. And it's just a quick little story. I believe it was actually like a Justin Bieber song, which made it weirdly worked. But and it just was one of those like just almost like a stab in the heart type thing. And you're like, oh my God, you're like, and you see that video and you're like, this can't be real. This is wild. Like this happened. And I'm somebody who I was an anarcho-capitalist. I don't even believe in the government. Like I left the military for ideological reasons. Like I've come to this position from theory. And then now I have this like example in my face of like Yeakey, of like the actual evil of the state. And it's just, I don't know, it just kind of punched to me. And I think since then my show has very much been more of like a parapolitical show. And that's what kind of started me down the road of like OKC. And from there I kind of got more into like conspiracy and stuff. I still dabble in like theory type stuff here and there. But Yeakey really did tug at my heartstrings big time.
On that, I've talked with Tanya Yeakey, and we'll hopefully be interviewing her at some point. But let's go into that, because we're saying Yeakey, but what is the Terrance Yeakey story? Can you share that?
Yeah, well, Terrence Yeakey, he was a big old dude, a big guy. He was a cop. Had been I think something around the lines of somewhere in 5 to 7. I think he was 7 years in the force. Sorry, I don't have that specifically memorized, but he'd been in for a good while. Was kind of in that that phase of his career, and it was at that time that the Oklahoma City bombing occurred, and he was the first one to jump into action, according to every source. We've pretty much seen he was there within minutes. I believe he was dealing with a call nearby. And he, like you said, he was one of the first ones showing up there, and he entered the building almost immediately, and he saved at least 3 lives. I've seen lots of variances of the how much, but quite a bit. He ended up falling 2 floors and getting injured, so he ends up in the hospital after hurting himself, falling through a couple floors, getting injured during it, but after saving a bunch of people. His ex-wife is actually who ends up picking him up from the hospital, Tanya, and I do believe that's an important detail, and I'm sure she'll go into that, because a big part of the story is their relationship, where they were at during that point in time, which if you ever get Tanya on, she'll be great at answering that. Although I definitely think they were friendly, and this is a great example of this. And but Tanya's the one who ends up picking up from the hospital. So she's one of the first ones there. So I think that's an indicator of the relationship at that time, months after the incident. And now the first thing he tells her when he gets picked up by her is, Tanya, it's not what they're saying it is. They're not telling the truth. And according to Tanya, he kind of got a little misty-eyed, during this retelling. An injured man, and he was, from my recollection, was essentially urging to get out of there. He wanted to get the hell out of that hospital. He was sketched. Something could happen. He did not want to be there. He wanted to get the hell out. And now I guess we could have jumped forward, and then maybe we could kind of jump back. And then about a year later, now this man ends up dead in a field in El Reno. Now,
what was he doing during this time? And confession, what brought me into this, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Margaret Roberts wrote this great book, Blowback, that has stolen my life at this point, chasing this rabbit hole, and led me to other books like Kathy Sanders' Shadows of Conspiracy. But in Margaret's book, she does talk about Terrance Yeakey right in the first chapter. She kind of just slams you with, all these crazy things are going on. But from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was starting to investigate on his own, and like maybe had multiple VCRs and was trying to record tapes or something. What was he doing in that time period between the hospital and his death?
Between his hospital and the death, there were definitely lots of time. Well, it's kind of mixed. There's talk that he essentially kind of kept things close to the vest, but he clearly was a little bit freaked out about things going on. As I just mentioned, the one statement he said to her. But now he did say statements to Tanya about essentially the idea of that there were people that were not at the bombing that were being recognized as being there, and vice versa. People who were at the bombing were not being recognized as being at the bombing. To me, that kind of looks like almost creating your propaganda figures for
Any
whatever
examples
goes
on that.
Examples. For example, Vassar. It was actually someone I interviewed. Stephen Vassar. He was a cop. He was one of Terrance Yeakey's friends, and I'm trying to remember his story. I believe he said that he was there, and I don't think he got recognized. And I believe he even once went to go look into it. He wasn't able to find his record. He actually he was another. I think you mentioned on a previous show the 24 people who saw John Doe 2. That number's not accurate. It's at least 25. I can tell you that because Stephen Vassar.
I've also heard 28 possibly from a recording from an FBI agent, but I don't know yet. I'm doing some digging there.
Yeah. Well, I had Stephen Vassar on. He was a close friend of Yeakey. And he claimed he saw John Doe 2 that day. He said he saw the Ryder truck drive by him, and he looked up and he saw him. I mean, he didn't get like a clear look at his face, but he could see he saw somebody there. And so he saw John Doe 2. So that's another John Doe 2 person right there. He said he saw him. There's another one. And he then went to go look for his police report much, much, much later, and gone. Which is funny enough, that ties into Yeakey's thing. He had somewhere in the range of 6 to 9 page police report on it, and his leadership was telling him, we want this cut down, essentially throwing away. I think he even lost it at one point, or he had lost it. He wasn't able to get it later. I mean, there also is I'm sure you read about all the different ransacking. Maybe I'm a little jumping ahead of myself here, but all the different places, particularly Yeakey's residence, Tanya's residence, I believe one of Yeakey's storage places seemed to have been raided, but it looks like there was some raiding of areas. Now, by the way, I do want to back up real quick because you mentioned books, and I think that was smart of you. Now, I would say for what there is for references for Yeakey, the Yeakey story, you did mention it was in Margaret's book. So far as books, I don't really know many books. I would hope maybe he could end up in more books in the future. I mean, some of the Oklahoma City bombing books, he may get like a kind of a passing reference, but he doesn't usually end up being take a huge part from my recollection of the handful of them that I've read. So I'd like to see him get better treatment, but it's the articles, particularly David Hoffman, I believe it was Washington Weekly. He wrote a piece for way back in the day. So that would be probably the best piece. Now, the most current piece was written over at CNN by, I can't remember his first name, but Lake is his last name. And he wrote a recent piece, and that was pretty good. It was I don't know, it was. I was pleasantly surprised because I don't put much respect on CNN's name, so it was actually a pretty dang good article. I recommend that one as well.
You know, it's interesting that you say that about not having the respect on it. I've had Jesse Trentadue on a couple times, and he pointed something out that I didn't realize. When they thought that his brother was murdered, this is another victim, and there's some weird parallels with I think Terrance Yeakey and Kenneth Trentadue, who both weren't killed in the incident, but they were kind of killed because of the incident. Possibly, it's a weird tie there. The press was very interested in his story when they thought, oh, this is a prisoner and he got murdered by the prison system and whatnot. But then when they found out that, oh, this might have been a Fed thing or something, then all of a sudden they all vanished. They ran away, scattered like leaves. And, maybe that's the case there. Like the narrative fit okay in the CNN profile, that they care about that particular story, which they may not care about others. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I'm still befuddled. I mean, like I guess I'm just instinctually I'm waiting for the shoe to drop with something CNN of like, you actually did good journalism? Really? Okay.
Broken clocks, man.
Yeah, broken clocks. Now I will say, like, for example, maybe we could get around to mention, or one of the major sources within the Yeakey thing that comes up that I think it really is. I don't think the entire Yeakey story is held up on this character, but it helps a lot. Is this individual named Ramona McDonald, and now she, we're talking about this Lake article, the most recent CNN one. She showed up in that one. And she's always been anonymous. That's not her name. I mentioned pseudonyms earlier. That's not actually her name. That's her. She changed it. I believe the story is, from what I've gathered from other people that were kind of in those circles at that time, is that she essentially was dealing with some backlash for her positions on things, and so I think she may even have lost her husband. I can't remember all the
what was
rumors.
Her job or role?
I don't know enough about it. That's what I'm saying. She's essentially effectively an anonymous source. So that's why I'm like, when I say, I'm like, I would love to. Hey, Ramona McDonald, I'm on a large platform right now. If you're out there, I would love to talk to you. I think you need to, not need to, obviously you're your own person, do whatever you want, but I think it would be really great for the Oklahoma City, or for Yeakey's story, if you would, I don't know, if you talk in a podcast, it would probably add so much more if there's a face to it as opposed to an anonymous source and two separate articles, which, don't get me wrong, it's bombshell stuff. We could, particularly in the Hoffman article, there's a whole letter that Yeakey supposedly wrote to her. And I mean, that's one of those things where I'd love to be able to talk to Ramona if you're like, hey, you did write this. Like, you just get more like on the record, like, this is legit, right? Like, the supposed story. And it kind of basically gives exactly what Terry thinks happened. Or kind of what pricked him up. I mean, I actually have it right here if you want me to read it.
Please.
It's a bit long. It'll probably take a couple minutes to read.
Can
I do
share
think
it on the screen.
This is within the Hoffman article, and so here you go. It starts off, Dear Ramona, I hope that whatever you hear now and in the future will not change your opinions about myself or others with the Oklahoma City Police Department. Although some of the things I'm about to tell you about is very disturbing. I don't know if you recall everything that happened that morning or not, so I am not sure if you know what I'm referring to. The man that you and I were talking about in the pictures I have made the mistake of asking too many questions as to his role in the bombing, and was told to back off. I was told by several officers he was an ATF agent who was overseeing the bombing plot, and at the time the photos were taken, he was calling his report of what had just went down. I think my days as a police officer are numbered because of the way my supervisors are acting, and there's a lot of secrets floating around now about my mental state of mind. I think they're going to write me up because of my ex-wife and a VPO. I told you about talking to Chaplain Poe. Well, the bastard wrote me up in a report stating I should be relieved of my duties. I made the mistake of thinking that a person's conversation with a chaplain was private, which, by the way, might have cost me my job as a police officer. A friend at headquarters told me that Poe sent out letters to everyone in the department. I don't know what your policy is on bad words here, but that, Joe Randall, I told you about is up to something, and I think it has something to do with Poe. If she gets her way, they will tar and feather me. I was told that Jack Poe has written up a report on every single officer that has been in to see him, including Gordon Martin and John Avery. Knowing what I know and understanding fully just what went down that morning makes me ashamed to wear a badge from Oklahoma City's police department. I took an oath to uphold the law and to enforce the law to the best of my ability. This is something I cannot honestly do and hold my head up proud any longer if I keep my silence as I'm ordered to do. There are several others out there who was what we saw, and even some who played a role in what happened that day. Now, there's 2 pages missing. It goes on. My guess is the more time an officer has to think about the screw up, the more he is going to question what happened. Can you imagine what would be coming down now if it had been our officers who had let this happen? Because it was the feds that did this and not the locals is the reason it's okay. You were right all along.
I want to stop for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said 2 pages missing.
Yeah.
Are they nowhere out there? Or?
Exactly. I've tried to dig a little bit into it. I forget exactly. It gets a little bit weird when you try to get into this. So that's why I'm like, I would love to talk to Ramona. She does show up later in the CNN one, but that is why I've heard different. I've seen. I remember. I feel like I tracked down. I can't remember who exactly it was, but I tracked down. I was able to find it was like on a way back when on a computer somewhere. So I don't know the specific on this, and I would like to know. Hoffman's not with us anymore, unfortunately. I'd ask him. But Ramona McDonald, if you're listening, please come on the show because she even goes.
Or Ramona, if you can't, absolutely, and you can provide the other 2 pages or more information. You can reach out if you want to me directly, erichunley.com/contact. And I will keep you as anonymous as you want, or otherwise, I would love to have the information. I will obviously share it with Jose and everybody else in the community as well. So I totally understand if there is some kind of danger or situation. We're just trying to find answers. So I apologize. Go ahead, man.
No, you're good. You're good. Trying to think where I was. My guess. Okay, here we are. My guess is the more time an officer has to think about the screw up, the more he's going to question what happened. Can you imagine what would be coming down now if it had been our officers who'd let this happen? I already read that, but I think it was the middle. Because it was the feds that did this and not the locals is the reason it's okay. You were right all along, and I'm truly sorry I doubted you and your motives about recording history. You should know that it's going to be one hell of a fight. Everyone was behind you until you started asking questions as I did as to how so many federal agents arrived at the scene at the same time. Luke Franey, a BATF agent who claimed he was in the building, was not in the building at the time of the blast. I know this for a fact. I saw him. I also saw full riot gear worn with rifles in hand. Why? Don't make the mistake as I did and ask the wrong people. I worry about you and your young family because of some of the statements that have been made towards me, a police officer. Whatever you do, don't confront McPherson with the bomb squad about what I told you. His actions and defensiveness towards the bombing would make any normal person think he was defending himself as if he drove the damn truck up to the building himself. I'm not worried for myself, but for you and your group. I would not be afraid to say that at this time that you and your family could be harmed if you get any closer to the truth. At this time, I think for your well-being, it is best for you to distance yourself and others from those of us who have stirred up too many questions about the altering and falsifying of the federal investigations report. I truly believe there are other officers like me out there who would not settle for anything but the truth. It is just a matter of finding them. The only true problem as I see it, who do we turn to then? It's vital that people like you, Eddie Smith, and others.
Hold on, that's Edie. That's Kathy's daughter.
Yeah, my bad. I pronounced it wrong. It's Edie, or yeah, that is Kathy's daughter. And others keep asking questions and demanding answers for the actions of our federal government and law enforcement agencies that knew beforehand and participated in the cover-up. For those who aren't aware, too, that Edie's the one that her children perished. Yes. Really, really sad. It's most.
She also was the one who started a lot of this in motion. Mm-hmm. J.D. Cash was inspired to investigate because of Edie Smith asking why ATF personnel might have been warned not to go to work that day. Mm-hmm. What about the rest of us? And that is what stirred on a lot of the investigation, as well as Kathy's husband, Glenn, mm-hmm. who recorded the fire chief. And you're clearing up a lot of things here. So he's kind of reinforcing mm-hmm. the whole bomb squad truck situation, it appears. And to interrupt a little bit further, have you talked with Don Browning, or has Don Browning come into this mix? Because he had some interesting observations about the horses, the horse patrol or whatever being
Yeah, the marshals
suited up for riots,
yeah.
or crowd control that they never would be, and there was nothing going on. So why were they being stood up?
I have not talked to him, but I mean, you do mention that. I mean, Yeekey just mentioned that just a moment ago. If that was something that brought that up to you, that's exactly what Yeekey basically. I mean, nothing about horses, but he said they were in riot gear. Essentially, it's the idea that he was bewildered that they got there so quickly because he got there so quickly because he just so happened to be nearby on like another, some other call or something, and so he was just kind of like, how the hell are they already here? Like, how is there, And then obviously, then once you find out that none of the ATF are in there, it starts getting more and more fishy. There's also Tanya told me
they were in there.
Yeah, Tanya. Tanya told me a story about like what she kind of like almost implying perhaps what kind of started the beginning of the end for Yeekey was kind of he's the one who kind of made a big old stink about everything about these sort of things. You mentioned Lucas Franey earlier. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the stories of people karate chopping through and all that nonsense. Well, there were people
with Kathy.
Yeah, there are people on the ground who weren't too happy about it, and it sounds like perhaps Yeekey was one of them. Alongside, I forget the name of the God. What's the name of it? There's another guy who died under very suspicious Dr. Chumley, I think his name is, who died under very suspicious circumstances, and he was on the ground helping. And there seemed to be. If you ever talk to Tanya, she might even bring up Loudenslager, who's another another interesting side tangent that kind of connects all these individuals and perhaps might be some sort of driving impetus for like kind of figuring out things. Because it is always kind of like what did Terry know? What did he see exactly? I mean, there are disparate claims. I know his sister LaShawn, I believe she said something about that. Something about the windows blowing or the damage blowing out as opposed to in. Or something along those lines. So I mean, there's a numerous. There's also the the Lucas Franey thing where like that he kind of clearly is like he's even saying in this letter like literally name dropped him like these guys weren't.
And then he was also upstairs holding the box. What was in the box? What it was so important that he got out of the building. I know Kathy and I have talked about. There's a lot of crossover between people, so I'm really happy and fascinated to hear this and I look forward to learning more.
You want me to keep going this letter? I mean, it is a little long, but I do think it's worth it. It really is probably like the best. The sad truth of the matter is that they have so many police officers convinced that by covering up the truth about the operation gone wrong, that they are actually doing our citizens a favor. What I want to know is how many other operations have they had that blew up in their faces? Makes you stop and take another look at Waco.
Well, hold on. Now, this right here is implying a botched sting. Did he have information? Did somebody tell him that this was, in fact, a sting operation? Because he's implying in that statement that he knew there was an actual operation.
Well, I mean, I don't know what he could have possibly seen, but I mean, I guess to reference my Vassar one, there's a good little clip in that episode where I ask him his opinion, and he lays out exactly that. He's like, I mean, you got to think if you're a police officer, I'm no cop, but I would just assume like I know Vassar when I talk to him. He's like, yeah, I've not been an undercover guy, but I've worked with undercover guys, and like you kind of understand somewhat the vibe, and he's kind of like, yeah, this looks like a sting. Like, this is what this looks like. This looks like something went wrong. Like, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just a law enforcement vibe. That I don't know exactly what it was, but yeah, it seems to me, I mean, between the people showing up really quickly, obviously it seems like he had some sort of altercation with Lucas Franey. There may even have been more. It seems like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it sounds like perhaps maybe his just spidey sense was tingling like crazy and he was reacting, I don't know, valiantly, really, in the moment and kind of taking charge and saving lives and kind of not taking any nonsense. And it may have cost him his life, perhaps. I would consider it to be an insult to my profession as a police officer and to the citizens of Oklahoma for any of the city, state, or federal agents that stood by and let this happen to be recognized as anything other than their part in participation in letting this happen. For those who ran from the scene to change their attire to hide the fact that they were there should be judged as cowards. If our history books and records are ever truly corrected about that day, it will show this and maybe even some lame excuse as to why it happened, but I truly don't believe it will from what I know to be the truth. Even if I tried to explain it to you the way it was explained to me.
Even if I try to explain to you the way it was explained to me means a somebody or somebodies.
Good catch. Yeah.
told him
Yeah.
about this being an operation, whatnot. But carry on. I'm looking for these little things in there.
Well, actually, now that I think he might actually be saying perhaps. I mean, let's finish the paragraph. Maybe he might be saying what his department told him, like the BS. Even if I tried to explain it to you the way it was explained to me, and the ridiculous reason for having our own police departments falsify reports to their own fellow officers. Yeah, so I think that actually might be what it is. He's kind of saying like they tried to give us some ridiculous cockamamie reason why we have to do this. Is what it sounds like to me. But anyways, the ridiculous reason for having our own police departments falsify reports to their fellow officers, to the citizens of the city and to our country, you would understand why I feel the way I do about all this. I believe that a lot of the problems officers are having right now are because some of them know what really happened and can't deal with it, and others like myself made the mistake of trusting the one person we were supposed to be able to turn to, Chaplain Poe, only to be stabbed in the back. I'm sad to say that I believe my days as a police officer are numbered because of all of this.
He's implying extra knowledge, in my opinion. Also, well, I mean, let's not bury the lead. What happened to Terrance Yeakey a year later? I know they claimed he we can't say certain words, so we have to say self-deleted.
Yeah,
is the official story, but he seemed to self-delete in a very remarkably difficult way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll actually segue it from Ramona into this because kind of explaining more about Ramona and kind of the role that she filled. Essentially, she back in that day was essentially running like I guess you could say like a clearinghouse of sorts. Essentially, shortly after this, and this is definitely something Tanya, because she was involved in it as well, helping out with this, from my understanding, is kind of shortly after the bombing, there were a lot of people like Terry who had and like Edie and like many other people who had concerns, who had issues, and from my understanding, they started kind of grouping together and working together. And I think Ramona,
Charles Key.
Yeah, and kind of like that. So I mean, and some people were like survivors or family members of survivors who have questions and stuff. And this is where they kind of met together to kind of piece things together. This is where her place supposedly got ransacked after the unaliving. And this is where they were kind of storing documents, stuff like that. Where they were grouping together, working these things out. And another thing how I can kind of segue this from one to the other, she claims she had a meeting with some kind of Men in Black types shortly before this, asking about kind of her research and this and that. And then later, because she had a relationship with Terry, not anything untoward, I mean just like friendly, she kind of, they were talking, and he, I guess, was getting ready to, at this time, he was telling her, like, oh, I'm getting ready to go meet with somebody to give him some information I have, to kind of, because he's trying to solve some stuff, and he made a point to tell her he wasn't going to bring her his service weapon, because he's kind of like, and he mentioned it was kind of these other Men in Black types, and she was of the belief that what he was describing was the same Men in Black people that talked to her, and he made a point to not bring a service weapon. You can find this in the CNN article. But anyways, she claims that he said he wasn't going to bring a service weapon, which this does tie into it later, because no weapon was found, or at least we don't know of the weapon, what the weapon was. So what you would think if it was a service weapon, it would have been near the body, and they would have definitely been able to be like, this is the weapon. Because obviously, if it's your weapon, it's going to look a lot more like you did it. But well, he was found in a ditch outside of I believe Reno. His wrists were cut repeatedly. His throat was slit. There was a bullet in his head. There was grass and dirt in the wounds. There was rope burns, and it was about a mile and a half from his car. That's what I find to be the most accurate one. I've seen different things quoted. The lowest I've seen is a half mile. I don't think it really makes a difference, frankly, but I think the more accurate one's honestly a mile and a half. But his car was covered in 2 pints of blood, which I've looked that up. Apparently 2 pints is like, you don't die at that point, but you're losing consciousness, or you're fading in and out likely. And so that's what they found in his car, yet somehow he ended up about at the least a half a mile away from his car, through wilderness and all different terrain and stuff, and just in the middle of a field, just right in the head. at a weird downward angle, kind of like this. Like, I mean, it's theoretically possible, but it's just an odd angle. I mean, me and you are kind of thicker fellers, so like this is weird. I mean, you wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like you'd think you'd do this. So yeah, this is supposedly supposed to be an unalived man. That's what they say happened here, despite all these other things. It doesn't really, like I said, there was grass in there. It doesn't really quite look like an unaliving. So it was ruled a unaliving basically immediately. There was no autopsy. There was no suit note. We don't know anything about any ballistics, if there were any. Like I mentioned, this was Ramona had recently claimed that Terry was going to a meeting and made the choice to not bring his service weapon, essentially likely afraid of being unalive type deal. And so that's the untimely, and you had actually mentioned, there's one thing I did want to mention real quick. You asked him like reasons or kind of like the things he was doing prior. One thing people bring up frequently that I forgot to, he had been asking Tanya about getting remarried, and he'd been trying to get her to sign life insurance policies and stuff. And he was acting kind of, paranoid around that time. So, I mean, life insurance, all these things, asking to remarry, and bear in mind, life insurance doesn't typically cover for unaliving. They just don't, because I mean, that's why would you do that?
But it doesn't have double indemnity if somebody helped him.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know if I guess we're kind of at the end. Obviously, there's definitely stuff to dig into, but yeah, that's his untimely end. And yeah. So, like I said, I guess we can kind of maybe go back into other. Like what could they have seen and stuff, but yeah.
It almost sounds like, and I'm projecting now. Perhaps somebody was having a strong conversation with him, trying to extract information that he had discovered, or if he was going to a meeting with to compare notes or to give notes, then perhaps he was asked strenuously. From where did he obtain this information and whatnot, and what exactly did he know? I don't know. It does kind of look bad at this point, and I think there's many people curious about why this happened. And from what I understand, I didn't know he was having such a rough time at the force. I thought he was about to get an award.
He was?
Being a hero cop. So it seemed almost like a race to me. That is it like publicly he was going to be given an award, but internally at the police department he was under dire threat of being shown the door.
That's what it sounds like. And he also even with the medal of or the award he was getting, he didn't even really want it. And so he was kind of doing I don't know, you said you were military. I don't know if you ever got any awards or any nonsensical, whatever. And you're almost forced to do it. And that's kind of how he was. And he was kicking and screaming and kind of not really wanting to do that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, he was the one complaining about that some people weren't getting recognized and vice versa. He actually had to fight with his, I wish I could remember the specifics on this one. I think this might have been something Tanya told me, but he actually had to fight to get one of the people to get recognized and get the proper accolades of such, because this is, seems like this is a trend that they were doing, which, I mean, if I'm going to be conspiratorial, like I said earlier, it's kind of like you want to set up your figures. I mean, what are these people going to be doing now? They're going to be shaking hands with the president. They're going to be, front page news. They're going to be answering questions to reporters. So, I mean, I can kind of see, if you are getting overly conspiratorial, why we'd be like, no, you weren't there, you were there, and these sorts of things could occur. I think Terry was undeniable because he was one of the first ones there. He got injured, all these different things. I mean, he did truly heroic stuff, and then he didn't want the thing. And I don't know if it's just like I can understand it being military, how like I could see how they would be, even just without getting too sinister, this idea of that, like, that he's kind of being a cog in the wheel, or kind of gumming up the wheels here, causing a problem, making you look bad. Like, I can see all the I don't know what the word I'm looking for, the forces within the organization that could these sort of bureaucratic forces, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, that could that sort of thing. But yeah, he didn't want it. It was very begrudging. And it does seem like there was lots of issues between him, particularly Upchurch, which I believe is major, and there was another character. But there's two major people within his force, and that he was having issues with at that time.
Fascinating. I really want to talk to Don Browning, by the way. Mm-hmm. Don, if you're watching, please let me know, because I feel like he's another police officer at the time who was there on site with Gunny, really seeing some oddities going on, like cameras being pulled down. When everybody is like, oh, there's another bomb up there. Well, we're here, though. Let's take down some cameras. Odd choices. Yeah, I definitely want to hear more about that. And please, Ramona, reach out one way or the other. I know
that isn't where it ends either. I mean, it continues even after his unaliving. There was harassment of the family. There's reports of surveillance that is being occurred on them. But there was claims by Tanya of her brake lines being cut. That was actually even happening before the death. That she was getting nails in the tire and these sorts of things. And Terry was having to be like, that's not me, kind of deal, like it was almost as if it seems like they're trying to make it look like you're her ex-husband or something that was doing it at that time, perhaps, but or maybe they're just messing with them. I don't know what the reasoning is, but then it still happened after the death. And then also there were claims that they were seeing people following them around. I know they supposedly got it on video at one point. I haven't seen it, no, that I doubt it, but there's all sorts of claims of harassment from the family. I mean, hell, I believe they got the car back with, they got, it was like, I think the next day they got the car back with blood in it. They found a knife in the glove compartment. I mean, I think I didn't even mention too, the car that they found was all pulled apart. I think it looked like they'd tried to set fire within it. Looking like they were looking for something and perhaps also just trying to destroy the evidence and maybe just gave up along the way. Yeah, just clearly, I mean, you dig through this story and you just realize that I mean, I've heard people describe this as being like overkill and on purpose in like an incredible degree, almost as if like I don't know, you could say like a signal, like hey, like don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, because you do look at the when you dig in the Yeakey
like
story, it's so ridiculous that you're like, you don't even really know how to see it as anything other than that. I mean, hell, the where it happened at, the OKC police department took over for the Reno police department. Not really any good reason for them to do it. And so it just all looks fishy when you start digging into it. Lots of weirdness. I mean, it's not the only one. I mean, there's so many people who dropped around this story. Like I mentioned, Chumley. There's a Loudenslogger. There's trying to do. I mean, there's all sorts of people within this. And these are the stories that really tug on my heartstrings.
Wow. Well, I definitely will be digging into that more, and I look forward to having Tanya on. She's not able to come on for a while. There's some other things going on. We all have lives, and we all have different things happening. What other stories have leapt out at you besides Terrance Yeakey? Has anything else jumped out?
One that I haven't really done due diligence on yet that I really want to dig into. This is one of those ones that I want to really get into writing. One of these days I want to get into writing. I'm just I've gotten to the point podcasting where I'm like sort of part-time, but I don't have enough time to write yet, but I would like to write. And one that always really kind of got my ear that I really want to dig into, but just haven't been able to. I just haven't really found the time to really dig into it and flesh it out. But the Mueller murders.
Is that the Kehoe brothers?
Yep, the Kehoe brothers. So that one always, the Kehoe brothers have a weird space. I mean, I think you're reading Wendy's book, so I think you might. I think if I recall correctly, they were one of Jack Oliphant's. I think it was like Sunshine Boys or kids or people or whatever. It was some sort of weird cult thing he had or something. It's odd. So it is a. But then then they brutally murder this man, his wife and child, a small child, and I believe kind of do the old rock or weight or something and throw him in the water type deal. And there was I forget the specific. There was a government report that was put out that they thought. I mean, they weren't like asserting, but they believed that it was a hit put out by, I believe, Brescia and Strassmeyer, if I recall correctly. They believe that was it. I believe essentially, I think they had stolen. He had gotten a gun stolen from him shortly before. And the weird thing about that too is it's oddly reminiscent of the Roger Moore thing. Although, and then it's weird too that Roger Moore. There are murmurs of people that think that he thought they were going to try to murder him too for some reason, or at some point. I don't know how I feel about that one because Roger Moore is kind of I don't know. He felt like he'd be protected. I don't know. But it is the Mueller murders because it is like particularly obviously the little girl. It's like I don't know. To me, that's I have kids. I know that messes with me. Obviously, I mean a whole family and just offing them like that, just incredibly barbaric. And then obviously the weird periphery thing around there, the weirdness of the Kehoe brothers and kind of the role they fill. They almost seem like these deranged enforcers of Elohim City, is what it feels like to me. And I don't know. That's one I've always wanted to dig into. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I heard that Chevy Kehoe was in like a Oregon or Washington State prison at the time and was very fascinated and want the TV turned on to cover the bombing. Like he had foreknowledge of what was happening. Him and kind of like Richard Snell apparently was very interested as well in CNN, both tied into Elohim City.
I think it was a trailer park or something like that, and he went to like the common area where they had some sort of TV or something, or like and it says like, turn it on, something big's about to happen, and like shortly before, and then kind of hooting and hollering once it happened. That's what the story is. I mean, I don't remember the specifics on that one, but that is the story. That's the foreknowledge from the Kehoe brother. And then you add in the dynamic of foreknowledge. He was the one that I believe, I think it was 94. They think that the what most people think is around the planning stages in Elohim, and he was supposedly around there for that too. So I have always wanted to dig more into Kehoe and see like what the heck is he? Because something's, I don't know, just all these different things, the foreknowledge, the weird connection to Oliphant, who kind of has this weird connection to perhaps the CIA, because he's the one, I forget the name of it, like that whole theory by which the ARA operates. He's like kind of, if I recall correctly, kind of where it originates from. And you're like, he kind of has a spooky history. I think he claims even that he was like CIA and like was killing people for them or something crazy. Although when you get to these sort of folks, you never know what's real and what's not. A lot of these people
they also have a
claims.
shootout.
Like, yes, the Kehoe brothers.
Camera.
Yeah, it was like America's Most Wanted or something. Yeah, I mean, you could actually probably talk to Margaret about that. She may, I don't know if she had anything to do with that. She may have actually, because I think she used to be part of the staff over there, I think, if I recall.
Yeah, she was the news director of America's Most Wanted.
So I don't know if she had anything to do with the Kehoe brothers, but that'd be an interesting question.
She did have a run-in, not a run-in, but she tried to help. It wasn't the Kehoe brothers. It was one of the accomplices who was ultimately executed. He sought help with her. He had the weird eye. But he kind of took the full blame of everything that was going on, from what I understand, and was ultimately executed. Daniel Lewis Lee.
Yeah, like I said, I need to dig into it more. That's just one that I've just been. I can tell it's ripe for digging into. Essentially, I just haven't.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of meat there, but it's like it's a periphery. But yeah, I definitely am interested.
That's the one I've always been like, I'm going to come back to it at some point. I'm going to write an article. I'm going to do something. I'm going to dig into it. I need to flesh that one out. Something's weird. Something's screwy there. But otherwise, till then, I'll be kind of still digging into the Trendadu stories, the Yeakey stories. I don't know, something about the unalivings; those stick with me. I don't know, particularly if you can put like a heroic flair on it. I don't know, even Trendadu. I mean, there's like his like, I mean, I know he's kind of a inspirational story, getting his life back together, and then even then, the I know there's something, I don't know how can I put this as. I guess masculine, try not to swear, something, I guess, macho, kind of almost cool about like how that, that he went out swinging and he very clearly was like, I don't know, it's just kind of a testament to the spirit of man and just kind of, I don't know. And then to see that get cut short, I don't know, these sort of stories, they do speak to me particularly. I think even in a certain roundabout sense, the Kehoe one, that's what drags me into it. Obviously, the periphery, weird conspiracy stuff gets my goat too. But the human stories at its core is what really digs at me.
I think it's great. Now, I like to ask this, to close out everything. But what is the one question I should have asked you, but I did not?
Oh man, that's the worst. I just it's funny. I actually just talked to Wendy the other day, Wendy Paytig, and we were talking about like kind of if she was doing an interview or something. I was like, oh hey, he always asks this question, so like you can rock his socks. And then I just totally forgot about it when it came mine, so I actually don't have a good answer here. What should you have asked? Well, I guess we could go, what could this mean? Because we didn't really ever go to the what does this mean? Like, what could be, I guess we didn't really dig too much into the, like what could it have been? I mean, we kind of did, and I didn't really dig into it. But, I mean, just kind of briefly, we could kind of go into it. Like, if we're, like I mentioned, LaShawn and his sister, like, if we're going to go back to Terrance Yeakey, she said she saw, according to her, the sister, she said that Terry said to her that he saw evidence of explosives blowing out as opposed to blowing in. Now, blowing out and blowing in is all that would be in quotes here. So to be clear, like that's not like a verbatim quote for him, but essentially she's saying blowing out as opposed to blowing in, which obviously would be not line up with the official narrative, which is a truck bomb. Now, this obviously kind of leads into, it's a little spooky.
How much damage can the info do versus the explosives that could have been wired? I mean, I know there are absolute questions. I'm not a bomb expert, and at some point, I may look at that. But for now, because it's so far outside where I am, I feel like there's so many personal stories. The Yeakeys, the Trentadues, and whatnot. I want to try to get a handle on those first.
But let me just for a moment scratch this a little bit. Now, I'm same place. I'm pretty agnostic on the bombing question. I don't have strong opinions on what it is. So I'm completely open to it being other things. Because I'll be honest, I do just kind of layman's find myself doubting the info thing. But what do I know? But like, what could really count for this? I mean, there is a range of possibilities. We don't have to go full spooky here. One thing that was going on at the time, bombing rescue efforts were called off like multiple times, purportedly for bomb scares. So it could be, something along those. So, did any of those munitions possibly explode is the question? Because like their ideas, they're pulling munitions out of here. Because essentially many people assume that the reason these bombing, scares were happening and they were calling off thing is to remove munitions that the ATF was improperly storing. So that's a more reasonable explanation. Perhaps there could have been some sort of secondary explosion or something of the like. So that could be something to explain it. But obviously we can get a little bit more extreme with it, perhaps just touch on it a little bit. And there is some to this. Now, there are two people, Ruth Schwab and Jane Graham, claim to have witnessed teams seemingly kind of planting explosives in the building. I actually have the 302 right here if you'd like to look at of Jane Graham's that we could read through if you do want to peek at it real quick. I'll show you it here so we can now obviously this is just two separate people who claim they see some odd things. Here's Jane Graham's. At the time of the bombing, Jane Graham was a union official. This is the affidavit, not 302. Graham worked in the Housing and Urban Development Agency inside the Murrah building. She was in the building when the bombing occurred and is a bombing victim and survivor. It's reproduced below are two affidavits produced by Graham, written affidavit from November of 96 and subsequent video affidavit produced in 97. In these affidavits, Graham recounts a strange scene she observed inside the Murrah Federal Building parking garage on Friday, April 14th, so 5 days before the bombing. What Graham observed is incredible and sensational, but is verified through the account of another Murrah Federal Building employee and witness, Ruth Schwab. Schwab is also a Murrah Federal Building bombing survivor, and she saw the same men in the parking garage that Jane Graham describes in the affidavit. Now, here's the affidavit. And this was on November 15th, 96. I contacted the FBI first by phone, then by letter to inform them of three men who I saw on the second level of the parking garage the week before. The second level of the parking garage is that level which is directly below the street level and customer parking. These three men were standing just west of the double doors leading to the elevator, behind an older station wagon parked on the south side. They had a set of plans which appeared to be of the Murrah building. The reason I assume the plans were of the Murrah building is they were obviously disagreeing on something and pointing to areas in the garage. Two of the men were approximately 5'8", and one man 6'1" or 2. Two men had brown hair. The tallest had very dark hair, almost black, and a mustache. Now I'm finding myself struggling to recall if Strassmeyer had a mustache or not. He was wearing black cowboy boots, jeans, and a jacket, and a cowboy hat. His hair was collar length. The other two men wore jeans. One had a brown plaid sleeve shirt, and obviously lifted weights. First, I thought as I studied them that they were with the phone company because I saw what looked like telephone wiring, cream colored but short pieces. He also had a paper bag with something in it. And that's all I have of the affidavit. I thought I had the other half, but I only have one half of it. But that is the important part. The paper bag was something in it. Telephone wiring. So they don't necessarily. I've seen the full one. They don't necessarily exactly describe what I'm implying, perhaps, but it is like you can be like they might be placing charges. Is what it perhaps sounds like. I'm no bombing expert, but that is what many people take liberties with that for that to mean. But yes, obviously, like I said, the range of options. I don't know. I'm not really. I'm very agnostic on the bombing question. It really could go either way. I know there's many people who then point to. I believe I can't remember if it's which of the witnesses it was. If it was that one, but one of them, many people point to later that her story kind of seemingly changed later when she went on Alex Jones. So a lot of people will point to that to discredit it. I don't know. I haven't looked into the specifics of it. I don't necessarily put too much effort in digging the bombing. It does always. It is not the bombing, but the question of bombs in the building type deal.
Well, there was foreknowledge, I think, and there was definitely, from what I understand, an Air Force bomb disposal unit that was in town at the hotel, and they were sent home, because it was a little late. The bomb squad, multiple witnesses, and the fire department, captain or chief finally admitted, oh, well, they just were taking it out doing errands and getting coffee, as one would, take out a bomb squad truck with the trailer for the disposal that, you just drive that around town. It's kind of fun and cool. So there's definitely questions. And from what I understand from Dr. Payne's book, the building had been evacuated the night before for bombs as well, potentially. Also, there was a bomb warning that came that morning to the FBI, I believe from Michigan or somewhere. I'd have to get the details. So there is a lot of information at a minimum implying foreknowledge of bomb, not to mention Carol Howe, which I don't remember if we talked about here or in your episode, but Carol Howe, an ATF informant, had stated over and over and over, hey, they really want to bomb this building. They really don't like it. And coincidentally, Richard Snell, who was involved firsthand in planning to bomb the Murrah building, I think in 1983, was executed the exact same day of the bombing of the Murrah building in 1995. So a long list of definite parallels. Even Danny Coulson, the FBI agent out of Texas, who was both at Ruby Ridge and at Waco, stated that when he was told about the bombing, he said, this is Bubba work.
I think he may have known a little something. Do you know what do you know where he was on the bombing?
There are different questions about his location.
I didn't know if you dug into that
yet. I'm reaching out to you, Danny Coulson. I would like to interview you as well. And part of the reason is because Danny is one of the few people who was at Ruby Ridge. He was at Waco. He was dealing with Oklahoma City bombing. And to his credit, he was trying to get a grand jury started and got kind of tossed, put on ice, it appears, and retired, under a bit of a cloud. So he may well have been questioning things internally as well. And I definitely want to talk to Danny to learn more about this.
It'd be a great interview. Now, I hope he doesn't watch this after what I just said, because he might get a little dodgy about what I just said. Because I don't know if you're aware that I'm pretty sure there was like a receipt from a motel. I think it was nearby, actually, around that time. A lot of people, I'm speaking a little bit out of turn, but there's allusions to perhaps the PatCon thing that now I'm not saying Danny Coulson is some big bad. Like, if I'm gonna be super speculative, if anything, I'd assume perhaps kind of like what you're saying, that perhaps maybe something happened, it went wrong, and he's actually miffed, but maybe he can't say everything. So he's trying to say what he can, where he can, to be like, hey, this isn't cool type deal. But you know, I mean, you're in the government, you know, you're FBI, you probably have certain things you can or can't say. And yeah, I mean, he may also have limited information. I don't know exactly, so he might, you know, have his suspicions that things went wrong. I mean, it's hard to tell. But my point being is, yeah, I think maybe Ken Silva would be good at answering that. But digging into where he was in the morning is an interesting question. Where Danny Coulson was, because he's had a few different alibis for that. But it is interesting that, though, he does actually, while I do point that out, he does actually seem to be a benevolent figure overall. Is kind of my vague view. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I'm open to the idea he could be a baddie, but he does seem like, at his heart, that he, like you said, he pointed out the John Doe 2 thing. He does seem to want justice in some way, shape, or form. So good on him.
Yeah, he also came out on camera, I think it was Frontline, and pointed out 24 witnesses. Kind of hard to ignore that. So, either way, Jose, thank you very, very much. And we'll have to keep chasing our tails on this, and hopefully we'll actually come across some very real answers.
We'll just keep chasing Dragon, and hopefully we catch him eventually.